In the arid basin of northern Utah, the Skinwalker Ranch investigation has evolved from a fringe curiosity into one of the most methodical and data-driven inquiries into the unexplained. Season 6, episodes 9 and 10 mark the culmination of years of research where physics, geology, and electromagnetic science converge with events that seem beyond human understanding. What began as routine fieldwork drilling into the mesa and flying radar balloons has turned into an unprecedented scientific confrontation with phenomena that challenge both empirical reasoning and technological limits. The episode opens with Travis Taylor and Eric Bard revisiting the infamous bubble anomaly first detected months earlier, an invisible electromagnetic sphere with a 2,000-foot radius centered over the triangle. Multiple infrared LiDAR scans, drone telemetry, and balloon-based radar flights had confirmed the existence of an energetic zone where GPS signals collapsed, devices overheated, and electromagnetic readings surged by factors of 10,000 beyond environmental norms. Within this space, instruments behaved as though a second atmosphere or another physics was in play. Physicist Jeremiah Pate of Lunasoon Aerospace returned to the ranch with newly processed radar data from an earlier 2022 mission. His radar balloon had captured intense electromagnetic radiation suspended several thousand feet above the property. Normally we see small spikes, he explained, but this is continuous gigawatt-level energy. Lightning produces this for milliseconds. This persists. The data showed a localized energy field between 3,000 and 5,000 feet altitude, matching the region where previous GPS and telemetry failures had occurred. Pate's calculations suggested power levels on par with industrial microwave or directed energy systems, except no such system exists within 100 miles. While the aerial team prepared a follow-up experiment, ground operations continued at the mesa. Two boreholes, numbered 1 and 2, were being drilled on either side of a massive buried anomaly previously detected with ground-penetrating radar. At 260 feet, drillers encountered a dense layer that shredded tungsten carbide bits within hours. The friction curiously produced no heat signature. Thermal probes registered stable temperatures, suggesting the material either dissipated or absorbed heat, a property seen only in engineered ceramics or high-entropy composites. When the spoils were examined, the crew found metallic fragments with layered laminar textures resembling aerospace shielding. Their magnetic properties and heat resistance mirrored samples used in spacecraft re-entry tiles. We may be drilling into something manufactured, Taylor hypothesized. It behaves like material designed to endure extreme heat and mechanical stress. Soon after, the electromagnetic instruments registered another disturbance. GPS coordinates went haywire and spectrum analyzers picked up broadband interference between 1.6 and 18 megahertz, the same range used for deep space telemetry. The source appeared to hover directly over the triangle. Jeremiah's new DART system, Dynamic Aerial Research Testbed, was launched via high-altitude balloon to scan the anomaly in 3 dimensions. But as soon as the radar reached operational altitude, communication vanished. No signal was detected at any of the analyzers placed around the ranch. Inside the bubble, even the helicopter's radios went dead. LiDAR scans turned black, as if the air itself absorbed photons. When telemetry returned, the radar unit was reporting internal temperatures exceeding 170 degrees Celsius, forcing an emergency shutdown. "It's like flying into a microwave oven," Taylor observed. But there's nothing visible, no atmospheric ionization, no radiation burst, just silence. The post-flight data would later confirm multiple energy spikes above the triangle and along the creek to the south, perfectly aligning with previous anomalies. Subsurface radar images also revealed a long tunnel-like void extending from the triangle into the mesa, a geometric formation unlikely to occur naturally in sandstone. For the first time, there was geophysical evidence connecting the airborne anomalies to something buried underground. As this scientific breakthrough unfolded, the operation was overshadowed by potential human interference. A low-flying civilian aircraft appeared over the mesa circling the drilling site with its transponder turned off, a violation of FAA regulations. It lingered for several minutes before abruptly departing. Days later, lead investigator Thomas Winterton discovered that his surveillance system, which was air-gapped and not connected to any network, had been remotely accessed. Logs showed forced logouts, file transfers, and manual overrides, all within 4 seconds. The footage from multiple cameras had been copied elsewhere. This would require physical access, said Eric Bard, reviewing the logs. Or someone exploited the hardware through external electromagnetic manipulation. The team speculated that small autonomous devices similar to loitering munitions or micro-drones could have been deployed from the unmarked aircraft. These could transmit at the same frequencies already observed during anomalous events. The convergence between human technology and unexplained signals blurred the boundary between espionage and the paranormal. Simultaneously, biological data began to show disturbing patterns. Wildlife biologist Ben Woodruff presented footage from newly installed game cameras, elk and deer, exhibiting strange depigmentation and burn-like lesions on their faces. The markings were symmetrical, consistent with radiation burns rather than infection. Laboratory analysis of plant samples from the same area revealed DNA damage and chlorophyll breakdown identical to the effects of ionizing radiation. Yet survey data from 2018 showed the region had no residual radiation at all. The field where the animals were filmed displayed a sharply defined strip hundreds of feet long where vegetation was stunted as if scorched by a beam of energy. Radiation doesn't draw straight lines, Woodruff said. This looks deliberate. The geological proximity between the radiation-affected field and the drilling zone deepened the mystery. When drilling resumed, the bit struck another layer, perfectly smooth, impenetrable, and soundless. The beacon signal spread erratically across frequencies, and then the team heard a faint mechanical screech through the borehole microphone. When the drill was retrieved, the bit was intact but glazed, no melting, no wear. Archaeologist Chris Roberts sifted through the spoils and discovered thin ceramic fragments with beveled edges and crosshatch textures. One surface was glossy, the other porous, identical to re-entry tiles used on the space shuttle and hypersonic aircraft. This is engineered, Travis concluded. A dual-surface ceramic composite designed to reflect heat on one side and dissipate it on the other. The implications were staggering. If the material was natural, it should not possess dual thermal properties or perfect geometric edges. If artificial, it would mean that a constructed object, possibly metallic and ceramic, was embedded more than 470 feet inside the mesa. The discovery correlated with previous metal fragments analyzed by Dr. Ravi Chandra at the University of Utah, which showed microstructures similar to amorphous alloys and fused silica composites, materials used in aerospace and defense research. At this point, radiation detectors placed near the spoils began to climb, registering values up to 105 counts per second, nearly triple background radiation. The ceramic fragments emitted detectable radiation, implying either contamination from a radioactive source or internal isotopic activity. The pieces were immediately sealed for laboratory analysis under SEM scanning electron microscope. Meanwhile, aerial footage captured by Eric Bard's 240 frame per second cameras revealed something even more alarming: unidentified aerial objects moving at supersonic velocity across the triangle. One luminous orb crossed the frame in just 7 frames, equivalent to 1200 feet per second. There were no contrails, no thermal signatures, and no radar pings. Another object appeared to maneuver alongside Jeremiah's helicopter during the radar flight before darting away. If these were experimental aircraft, their performance exceeded known aerospace capabilities. If not, they might be linked to the electromagnetic anomalies themselves, perhaps as manifestations or vehicles emerging from within the bubble. By the close of episode 10, the investigation had reached an inflection point. Data sets from radar, LIDAR, drilling, biological sampling, and radiation surveys all pointed to a single inference. Skinwalker Ranch is an active electromagnetic and radiological environment interacting with both organic and mechanical systems. The mesa's interior contained a structured, heat-resistant composite unknown to current geology. The atmosphere above exhibited sustained gigawatt-level emissions. Wildlife displayed signs of radiation trauma. Electronic devices suffered directed interference, and somewhere within this feedback loop, an intelligent human or otherwise appeared to be observing and responding. Brandon Fugel, the ranch's owner, summarized the dilemma. We're collecting measurable, reproducible data, but the patterns point to technology we don't understand, and maybe technology that's not ours. As the team sealed their ceramic samples for further testing, they understood the magnitude of what they had unearthed. The so-called bubble might not merely be an anomaly, it could be a containment field, a power source, or even the remains of an ancient mechanism buried within the earth. Whether it represents extraterrestrial engineering, a classified terrestrial project, or a naturally occurring phenomenon yet to be explained, Skinwalker Ranch continues to serve as the most data-rich frontier between science and unknown.